Eu vou fazer engenharia mecânica tudo pelo Brasil. Aqui, no Brasil, tu chegou a fazer lá também? Não. Aqui no Brasil, a engenharia que eu peguei aqui, nossa.
Oi, Lucas. Ela perguntou de dar um negócio de tanto aqui no pescoço. Okay, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Okay. We're going to start with the harmonization text from Jesus in the Home, psychographed by Francisco Cândido Xavier. And the text says, the School of Forces. The members of Simon Peter's household were gathered around Christ, listening to his gentle and persuasive voice as he commented on the sacred texts. When the divine word ended his beautiful lesson, Peter's mother-in-law was troubled and asked, "Lord, what is our life in the home supposed to be after all?" Jesus gazed at her questioningly, implying that he wanted her to explain herself more fully, and then she elaborated. We begin the endeavors amongst flowers, only to find ourselves gathering a bunch of thorns later on. At first, there is the promise of peace and understanding. However, storms and troubles soon appear. Seeing that the Galilean woman was on the verge of tears, Jesus responded quickly. The home is a school for souls, the temple where divine wisdom gradually enables us to understand humankind more fully. He smiled and asked, What do you do first with lentils before serving them at mealtime?" The woman responded hesitantly, "Well, of course, Lord, I have to put them on the stove and cook them long enough. Then I have to season them in order to make them taste good. And would you perchance serve raw dough at the table? Of course not, responded the humble old woman. In order to make it edible, I would have to bake it in the oven. Otherwise, the divine friend then considered, in heaven too, there is a festive banquet where our sentiments must serve the Father's glory. Most of the time, the home is a holy cauldron or the preparatory oven. What may seem to us like affliction or suffering in the home is actually a resource for the spirit. The soul that is awakened to the Lord's will receives the most enlightening blessings from its renewing struggles, because only by living with others in the home, by studying aspirations and inclinations unlike our own, and by observing the defects of others and putting up with them, can we learn to overcome our own imperfections. Haven't you ever noticed how quickly a person's life passed by? The life of the body is much like that of a flower. In the morning, it emits a fragrance. At night, it withers. The home is a brief course on the fraternity we'll enjoy in the life eternal. The suffering and natural conflicts within its walls are lessons. Simon's mother-in-law listened carefully to all this and then remarked, "But Lord, there are persons who struggle and suffer, but they never learn." Christ rested his very lusty eyes on her and asked again, "What do you do with the hardlets that do not yield to the action of the heat?" "Well, of course I toss them into the garbage because they might hurt the mouth of the careless yet trusting person at the table. The same thing happens to the soul, who rebels against the spirituality constructive lessons of the home," finished the master. "The struggles of everyday life keep the soul stirred up to its benefit. However, when death arrives on the scene, that great selector of spirits as provisions for the storehold houses of our Father, souls who did not yield to the sanctified heat, who kept themselves in the same hardened state as when they were first led to the blessed oven of the body, will be tossed out, and for an undetermined time they will be like fertilizer in the detritus of nature. So, dear Jesus, upon the reflections over your lesson of how we should learn, how we should bound ourselves towards God's law, we are so grateful, Master Jesus, for giving us your love, for being between us, and for left your love legacy that we try to follow, that we try to be good apprentices. Help us, God, to find our own way to follow your footsteps. We are here for learning and for reflect about your teachings. Be with us and help us to understand your teachings. So be it. All right. Good lesson, good text, good message as normal. Our Master Jesus always brings to us. So let's get started. So today I invite you all to reflect about the meaning of life with Jesus. So what can I learn from him? We are going to talk about the legacy that love that Jesus left to us. He left so many teachings, so many exercises of love that he practiced among the people by his time. And still today, we still need the same lessons. They're actual. They're eternal words. And I invite you to reflect about those questions before we start. Have you ever thought about them? You don't need to answer, but just try to ask yourselves, or try to remember when did you ask yourselves those questions? What is the meaning of life, of my life? What is the reason of my existence? Why are there so much suffering in life? And how can Jesus help me with these questions, to answer these questions? I believe that we all, at certain point of our lives, we ask ourselves those questions at least once in life, or at least one of those questions. I used to do that. Why? What is the meaning of life? Why I'm here? What I'm doing here? Why this life is for? And many people are still looking for those answers. Are still asking themselves those questions. And most of the time are people that are passing through challenges in their lives. They are having troubles with material things or diseases or mental problems. Many here in this materialistic society that we live. But we can have two kinds of view to try to answer those questions. Most of people living here in Canada, they have a materialistic view. And we here, we are trying to learn the lessons, learn how to deal with our troubles in life through a spiritualistic view. So, with a materialistic view, which kind of answers we are going to get? Normally, they are not satisfactory. The answers that we get from materialistic view are more about how to have pleasure in life, how to have a beautiful house, a beautiful car, or how to be the best of my profession. It's more about have. It's not about being. It's more about, well, how can I show to people what I am not?
Imagine.
Yeah. I feel that sometimes we have this behavior of performance, somebody that we're not. And what's the result of that? When you have this, there's just this life, and life is short, and we need to enjoy as much as we can, and we can do whatever we want. And because we ended up in anything, in nothing. You're gonna die, and that's it. So what's the answers that we get from this point of view? emptiness. We feel that there is this no anything is answers. There is no answer that properly address us to a meaning, to understand the meaning of life. We try to run over and over again in circles. We don't find. We still feel that emptiness. However, with a spiritualist view, and when we attach our spiritualist view with Jesus' teachings, that deep, we have this touch deep inside. We feel deep inside because that's our essence. Our essence is in there, and it's connected with the love that Jesus represents. Then we feel that we have the answers that we are looking for. That's because we have the divine essence. Moving forward, if we see our evolution process as a blessing gift from God, therefore we have so many challenges in life, we are invited to see them as lovely invitations from Jesus, from God, to be apprentices and personal growth. This month, we are repeatedly speaking about apprenticeship, to be apprentices. This is the virtue of the month, and this virtue is very important because it represents the meaning of life. Why we are here, why we are passing through for this situation or for those situations. There are some situations that are good, situations that are not good, but we are here to learn from them in any circumstance. And that's the feeling that we are supposed to have, that we should have. I am an apprentice of life. So what can I learn from this and that situation? What do I need to learn here? When we have this view, it's a vision that gets broader. We can see more than this life and these things and this situation here. We see beyond. We can go further. And those are the invitations that Jesus keeps sending to us all the time. If we look at nature, we will see that every living creature was created with a specific purpose. Trees, plants, animals. Everything has a purpose in life, in the planet, in the nature. Why there are flies, why there are bugs, why there are animals, what are their play, how can I say that? What they are doing here, what's the purpose of their existence. If we go to the books and to the science and biologies, we can see that these animals, it's part of this chain, because it's important here to have this control, to have a control of this other situation and so on. So as human beings, we play a very important part here too, because we are created with a spiritual mission to evolve towards love and fullness. And among the animals, among the living creatures, we are the most developed ones. So we play a very important role in here. It's true that each of us has the right to choose our own way to get there. But we'll get there someday. Eventually, we'll get there, and we all are following to the same direction. I'd like to invite you all to look to this picture. I'd like to invite you to picture yourself inside this picture. And I would like you to picture yourself there and close your eyes. And try to remember one time that you were surrounded to nature, surrounded flowers, in a place that you could feel surrounded by nature. Try to focus on that. Try to take your shoes off and just feel the grass under your feet. Try to feel the air blowing your hair. Try to smell flowers. Try to hear the bugs and the butterflies flying all over the place. Try to hear the nature, the sound of the nature. How do you feel? How do you feel? What are the sensations that this place brings to you? How do you feel your heart beating? How do you feel inside yourselves? Now I would like you to come back, and the ones that feel comfortable, share what the feeling that this place brings to you. What's the sensation that you have? Do you feel peace? Did you feel relaxed? Calm? Yeah. So that's the sensation that we should feel always, even though passing through for moments that are hard. We should feel this peacefulness and this calmness. For those that read the book, Paul and Stephen, is not here. Paul, at the beginning, when he was persecuting all the Christians, he didn't understand this serenity that he could see in the Christians' eyes. Even though they are passing through for hard moments, like Stephen when he was being stoned, he had these eyes full of peace and serenity. And Paul didn't understand that. How you can be calm in this situation, how you can have this peacefulness. And later on, after he met Jesus in the gate of Damascus, so he could understand that feeling. It took a while, was a hard way back that he had to take, but was worthily, because at the end he could feel the same serenity. The serenity that he needs to learn again, because he was the doctor of the law, and after Damascus meeting, he was just an apprentice again. He was used to lecture in the temple and to be the biggest lecturer, the biggest speaker. And suddenly, when he started preaching again, he couldn't. He was there in front of the people and he couldn't say anything. He couldn't preach again. So he learned. He thought with himself, I need to learn again. So he humbled himself, came back to his river, and he started working again and just talk with people until he feels that was time that he could come back and talk again. He needs to relearn. He needs to restart all his process of learning. And that's what we are invited to. And Jesus gave us lots of invitations, and these ones are very important. If you hold my teaching, you are the really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Jesus said that 2018 years ago. 163 years ago, that's right? Kind of. Kardec brought us this question that was answered by the spirits. When he asked to the spirits, are some spirits created good and others created bad? And Kardec and the spirits answered, God has created all spirits in a state of simplicity and ignorance. That is to say, without knowledge. So he has given to each of them a mission with a view to enlighten them and to make them gradually arrive at perfection through the knowledge of the truth, and thus to bring them closer and closer to himself. So, can you see knowledge of the truth, and you need to know the truth. Jesus had said before, you need to know the truth. And Kardec, after 2,000 years, almost 2,000 years, brought again knowledge of the truth. But what is the truth? Which truth they are talking about? Do you know? There are two truths. Love is the highest law, the law of love, justice, and charity. That is the highest law that all the other laws comes under this law. That's the divine laws, the moral laws. And there is another law, another truth that we need to know, that we are invited to know. The truth that we have inside of ourselves. Our truth. So who we are, how we behave, what are our reactions towards situations in life. So, and that's the reason that we are here, because only through the incarnation that we can learn this truth, that we can understand how they work. And when we learn this truth, we are going to get this serenity. We are going to get to this calm. But we don't need to learn all the truth. We don't need to master the knowledge of the truth. Just during the process, we are able to feel that happiness. We are able to. I bring to reflect a graphic that shows a little bit about the process of learning, the meaning of life. So we have the truth, the moral laws, the law of love, the law of justice, the law of progress, reincarnation, all the laws that the work, every in each law that we are always hearing about, and every laws that we have in the Spirit's book, and we are learning in our daily days. When we develop this knowledge, this truth, when we start to make contact with these truths, we start what? Developing these virtues. The virtues are connected with the laws. Each law has a virtue connected. Each law. The law of love is the virtue of love. The law of progress is connected with the virtue of work. We need to work in order to progress, and so on. Then, when we start developing the virtues, we start at the same time knowing ourselves better. We are getting this self-knowledge. Okay, how can I react when this situation happens? Oh, I feel angry. I feel humiliated. So, which kind of virtue do I need to develop in that situation? What do I need to do? Okay, I breathe. Okay, what do I need to learn in this situation? Okay, I need to learn to see the other person as imperfect as I am. And if she or he is doing this thing to me, is because there is some ignorance that is not enlightened yet. And that's an invitation for me to look myself and try to enlighten myself, to not behave like this person towards myself or towards others. How can I change the situation? So then I can apply the golden rule that I need to treat others the way that I would like to be treated. I try to humble myself. I try to make myself to be gentle and try to practice the virtues. It's easy? No. It's laborious, right? It's laborious. It demands a good, strong will, a firm will. I want to do that. I want to be better. I want to practice that. Because what? Because it's good for me. Because it's good for me. Because I'll be learning. I will do in here what I'm supposed to. And then with the self-knowledge, I feel that I achieve my goals. Achievement. Okay, wow. The same situation happened again. And how did I react? I didn't feel all that feelings anymore. I didn't feel so angry anymore. I could stop before I was reacting. I could think better. I could, feel that sensation that, oh, good. It's good to do good. It's good to be better. I feel that relief. And I feel that that's the meaning of life. I feel that light sensation. I feel that is the way it can be soft, can be joyful. I can enjoy my process of learning if I have a spiritualist view of that circumstances. So, did you understand a little bit more how this works? And how beautiful it is? That it's not easy? No, but it's possible.
I think very good point is the willingness to do.
Yes.
The person we all need to be willing to change.
Exactly. Otherwise, nothing starts. But, like you were saying here, Renata, during the studies, every person has its moment to start. There is a moment for everything in life.
Sometimes you need a shake in your life.
Yes, sometimes you need.
Wake up.
Mm-hmm. Like Paul.
That's why.
Paul, why you are persecuting me? So he would. But it's always good to wake up and, okay, I can do better. It's good that we know that we wake up. We are waking up, actually, because this is a process. This is not something that we just do like right now. Okay, tomorrow I'll be the best person in the world.
Because we can change the past, but we can do it in the future.
Perfect. Francisco Cândido asked earlier. We could do a better ending. Exactly. We need to have that in mind, always. Yeah, helps us to be motivated, to feel that we are able to do better. We are here as, again, apprentices. We will be committing mistakes, we will have success, and we will commit mistakes. That's how the process happens. At school, we did the same, right? Moving on a little bit, another invitation from Jesus. This is from the Spirit's book, The Spirit of the Truth. That is Jesus. He says, Spiritists, love one another. That is the first precept. Educate yourselves is the second. Within Christianity, you will find all the truths. So, the Spirit of Truth provided so many messages in the Spirit's book and the Gospel of Spiritism that it's clear to see that Jesus came again as a consoler that we need to help us to understand the meaning of life. He taught us that through the learning process of love, we'll find this meaning. We'll find the meaning of the life that we need to. We will answer our questions that we have to find inside ourselves. Is not outside. Is never outside. God just wants us to learn. Like the Peter's grandmother, when she says, there are people that never learn. Oh yes, they learn. There are seeds inside of us that are dormant, and one day they will sprout. And again, it's any one of us, we have our own time. And God give us this time. But He give us this time that we need to take the opportunity to really do something for ourselves.
Some people sometimes they take longer to accept the situation.
Yes.
They never.
In our perspective, because if you see the eternity, this existence is so short. So short. Like, now I cannot believe that I am in the stage that I am in my life, that my kids that were little, now they are grown. The life passed so fast. If you pay attention, these years, we are almost in the middle of 2019. The time flies. Like, sometimes things happen so fast. And everybody is gonna get there one day. Doesn't matter when. We can be seniors, like we can be old, but important is wake up. I don't know if you read the book of Christ. Is Ave Christ? Ave Christ? Ave Cristo in Portuguese. Cristo.
The bottom. The one on the left.
Yeah, this one here. This book is amazing. It's written by Francisco Xavier and by the Emmanuel. And he tells us a story about this dad, that he was so concerned about his son in the past incarnation that was suffering. And he asked to the mentors, the spiritual mentors, help him, the son. And they gave him 100 years to help. He incarnated twice to help him. at the end of his life, he was in the circles. Well, I'm not going to tell you the story because you need to learn. I'm going to be a spoiler, but this book is amazing. You can understand. Sometimes you can see ourselves in his shoes, like stumble. I don't want to go. And everybody, all the circumstances is pulling him. Come, accept the invitation until the end. But it's so amazing. It's great. You should learn. You should read. Was in our book club. It's very good. So let's keep moving with our uh, learning process here. So what Christus asks us then, in order to accept the invitation, we need a firm decision towards changing. Like you said, Juliana, to have the courage to make continuous, patient, perseverant, and disciplined efforts. This way we can carry our everyday burden with Jesus, because it's light, because his yoke is the fulfillment of the love, justice, and charity. That's the invitation that we should accept, and keep in mind, we need to do that continuously. We need to persevere. It's not an easy way, but it's possible if we be patient with ourselves, because not something that we can change, because the knowledge we have to achieve in our mind, in our hearts, so we can practice. And sometimes we just don't practice, and sometimes we practice. So there are days that we did very good, and other days we didn't. But we need to be patient with ourselves. We need to learn what you need to learn, trying to repair, and keep going. I guess it's not time that they come yet. And we have three kinds of movements that we are always into when we are learning. Oops. I'm sorry. I changed my slides. Sorry, I'm going to talk about this process in the next one. This is another invitation that come to all you are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And this is the invitation that we have been seeing all month. And we are going to keep seeing this invitation through all these times, because we as human beings, we learn. That's the way we learn. Sometimes we need to repeat. It's like a language that we are learning. We need to repeat and practice and repeat and practice until we understand and we observe and we can do it. Yeah, that's the invitation, because that's the way we learn. And Jesus sent this invitation all the time, mainly to people that are weary and burdened, that need some rest. And towards his teachings and towards the law of love, we can feel that rest in our souls. We can feel that consolation. We can feel that we are in that place that we were at the beginning, full of nature, feeling the sensation of peace and calm and be embraced by God, by Jesus. That's a good, we can get there through meditations, to prayers, to this kind of visualization, Sometimes we need to get away from the way we are, to where you are. Just keep in contact with the nature. Try to have this feeling. And as I was saying before, we have three movements that we are always changing. It's like a scale that we are changing from one movement to other, and the right one, that is the emotionally intelligent attitude that we need to have. Because the loveliness, what you can do if you're not feeling love to ourselves? We cannot give. How we can give something that we don't have? Or if you are in the sud love, there's another movement that we think that we are lovely, that we have all the love, but we don't. We want to love others, but we don't love ourselves. Alberto Almeida was here this week on Thursday, and he talked about the women that love too much. And they are in this situation that they are being they are being abused, and they keep in there because they think that they love, but they don't, because they don't love themselves. That's our first option in life. This is our first thing. We need to love ourselves in order to love others. We are not supposed, how can we give something that we don't have? Right? But people, sometimes they don't know how to love. They didn't learn the pathway towards love yet. And that's what we are seeing here. How to love ourselves first, then love others. That's the emotionally intelligent attitude. I'm changing everything here. Let's see, what more do I need to? But important is, we don't need to feel anxious that we are not doing this yet. We need to know that this is something, the process of learning is slow, but it's steady. And Jesus, he told us to walk while you have the light, before darkness overtakes you. I don't know if you remember this in Portuguese, andai enquanto tens luz, para que as trevas não vos apoiem. This is very important, because he is asking us, walk, go slowly, but go steady, keep walking. Because when you have the light, the darkness never overtakes you. Because you are taking the time, the opportunity of the time to walk, to learn, slowly.
You have the desire.
Yes, making efforts, trying to practice the virtues. We are doing what we are supposed to do. And how does the apprentice learn again? Through mistakes and success. That's how we learn. We are created simple and ignorant. So we need to learn. We are here to learn. And we are invited to take the opportunity of the time to enlighten ourselves. The light that we have inside us in dormant states, and that we need to bring to ourselves and to others. So I'm going to talk about some behaviors that we have towards learning. This is from the book of Spiritual Health from Alírio de Cerqueira Filho. It's a great book that helps us to have a health spiritual life. And he talks to us about these movements that we have towards learning. We can be rebellion. Rebellion is those that have lots of selfish and pride. They don't accept the changes in life. They don't accept the challenges in life as lessons, but they react in a passive way. Oh God, oh life, I cannot change this situation. I cannot do anything. They have this passive attitude. They just wait for God that comes and helps and solve all the problems for them, or they wait for other people to do what they are supposed to. And there is a nice analogy that Alirio brings to us that says, imagine you are on a pathway and there is this huge rock in front of you. Okay, so you see the rock, you are walking, but you see the rock. Okay, what are you going to do? If you are in the rebellion attitude, you're going to swear, you're going to be angry, you're going to kick the rock, break your foot, sit and cry. What can I do? I cannot do anything. God doesn't help me, and so how can I overcome this situation? That's the rebellion one. There is the revolutionary. The revolutionary act with arrogance and, this word in nature, presumptuous. He thinks that he can change everything. Doesn't have acceptance too, and wants to change life forcefully. Is the one that when he finds the rock that's blocking the way, the person is going to start screaming and yelling and swearing and kicking the rock and start to blame the government, the society, my dad, my mom, everybody. It's not my fault, it's everybody's fault. And when he or she doesn't understand that cannot change that situation, cannot move the rock, sometimes they come back to the rebellion stage, passive, and feeling, I cannot do anything. Or, most of the time, they try to find a bomb to explode the rock. They want to change that situation in a way or in another. I'm going to change that. And sometimes we are in this situation that we are perceived towards problems in life, and sometimes we are revolutionary. You want to change that, and it doesn't matter what or can I do, I will do. And we don't try to learn, we just try to move from our way. I don't want to see, I don't want to talk with this, I don't want to deal with this. I'm going to take this out from my way. And we have the transformers. What these transformers do? Proactive. They want to learn. Strong will. They have self-knowledge. They know what they can do and they know what they cannot do. They are aware about their strengths and their weaknesses. I can do that. I can deal with this. They are calm. They are confident. They are in the same pathway. They see the rock. They study the rock. They observe. They think, okay, what can I do to change this rock away from my pathway? Maybe I can detour the rock. Maybe I can come back and take another pathway. They use their intelligence, their cognitive intelligence, and their emotional intelligence. So they can change their lives. And when we are in this pathway here, we become enlightened, transformed, because we pass through all this process here. We having a strong will to change, a proactive one to change, learning about ourselves, what we can do, what we cannot. We are quite achieving the calm and the confidence in life, in God, in ourselves. So we got there to the point we are pure spirits, Master Jesus. So most of us probably are in the rebellion or the revolutionary pathway, and our invitation is to become transformers. For in the future, we be enlightened. Every time that we take advantage, that we take the opportunity of the time to enlighten ourselves, we are doing this process. And we are becoming this process because we will be for now and for the future. So it's very important to understand the real meaning of life. We are invited to reflect about our rebellious attitudes and our attempts to become revolutionaries. It's a long process, we know that, but can be full of softness and lightness, and we can enjoy the development if you have this strong will to change our lives for good. And if during the process we be attentive to be more transformers than rebellious or revolutionaries. How am I behaving towards this situation? I'm having this passive attitude, or I'm trying to change in the way that I want. And for last, we suffer because of our own actions. We ended up fighting against the divine laws because we don't know them properly. So remember the beginning, know the truth, and the truth will set you free, or the knowledge of the truth will going to get you closer and closer to God. With the knowledge of the universal truth that are the moral laws, we can develop these virtues of apprentice of life. And we will suffer less, we'll be happier because we'll make better decisions, better choices. Would you like to comment to the comments?
Terminou?
Já.
A gente está terminando, só está lavando a mão.
Tá
Se
bom.
vocês quiserem bater um papo enquanto isso,
Tá bom.
só lavar a mão, a gente já vai vir mostrar as mãos.
Tá bom. So, any thoughts about the process of learning this? I thought it was very interesting that when I read about this. I've never had this idea of rebellion or revolutionary, and I thought it was, wow, that's great, because I can see myself jumping from one side to whether rebellion or some sort of revolutionary. Like, I want to change this, and it doesn't matter.
I think it's hard for me, it's hard, especially in our family circle, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because we know each other,
Mhm.
we have our own masks inside the house, right?
Yes.
And then how many times do we repeat the same thing over and over and over, and we can't get any result? That's when the patient is just zero, right?
Mhm.
I don't know how to change. I've been trying, to be sincere with you, I've been trying 13 years.
You know, sometimes it's like the message from Jesus. We need to work towards that, play our part, try to see how we are behaving towards all those situations, and see what's the learning that we need to get from there. What if this is important for you as a immortal spirit? How these are gonna impact how is your decisions right now, how your behaviors right now, are going to impact your life to eternity. So we need to take opportunity to enlighten
Just
ourselves.
because in that sense is my children, they are still children. Even though like my older son is taller than us,
Mhm. Oh yeah,
he's still a child. And he thinks as a child, he doesn't have maturity, right?
yeah.
And then I cannot let him do whatever he wants to do.
Mhm.
And that's what he wants to do, whatever he wants. But when it comes, you have to respect us as a parent.
Yeah. It's a
He doesn't
tough.
want to respect.
It's a tough situation because because you have the experience and you have the view of the future. So you want to prevent that happens. And it's hard because at the same time you have the mother's heart beating and you are concerned. And it's hard to say what we need to do. But I know that we have all the answers inside of ourselves. We need to keep searching, keep looking. It's not an easy pathway. You can come. Mhm.
All right, let's go in.
Hey, what a beautiful flowers.
Coloquei a minha no chão.
So what did you do today, guys?
We cut a little bit of paint and we plant.
Oh, você plantou? E o que você tem que fazer com a sua plantinha todos os dias?
You need to pray for it and put a little bit of
Ah, e a gente aprendeu também. We learned as well that when we don't know how to do something, we have to be what? Humble and say that we don't know, right? David, stop. So because Sophie said that she knew everything how to plant, and she didn't. So we learned that humbleness is very important. And what is the other one, Lucas? Do you remember? Você lembra, Lucas? O Lucas ficou nervoso, ficou bravo, né? Patience and meekness, mansidão, né? E o que mansidão e humildade tem? Humbleness and meekness tem.
Humbleness and meekness thing, it's made like
The apprentice feeling.
the apprentice feeling.
Yes, we are all learning how to plant.
And paint.
Muito bem. All right, guys, good job. A gente vai fazer um passo coletivo, então vocês podem fazer a oração final e a gente já volta a fazer o passo.
Tá bom. Let's close our eyes once more. And let's raise our hearts towards God, towards Jesus, our Master. And thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, for being with us, helping us to reflect about all your teachings that are so important to us and help us to find our way to overcome, to transform our lives, to be better people, to become better apprentices. Thank you, God, for giving us one after other new opportunities to grow, to be enlightened by the Jesus teachings. Thank you for all the mentors of FSS House, to our mentor, each of us. Thank you for the support, for the help, for being with us no matter what. We ask you, O Lord, your presence towards our way to home, enlighten our day with your love, with your compassion, that we could feel that in our hearts and we can then give it to our brothers and sisters. And then we ask the permission to finalize the reflection right now and to start our passes with your blessing. So be it.
So please, everybody remain seated with your eyes closed. You sit down. You sit down.